How is everybody doing out there in YouTube land? I'm doing okay. I am pretty excited actually. I just got booked in for my COVID vaccine, and my wife got hers earlier this morning. I got mine in a couple of days. My first shot, her first shot. So over the moon. Man, it's been a long haul. So we're getting there. Okay, so today's video is just a first impressions video of the reasonably new Fujifilm X-E4. Fujifilm Canada was kind enough to lend me this for a 3-week period, maybe longer, along with the 70-300, but I'll be doing a separate video about that. But before we get to my first impressions of this, I actually wanted to announce my winner, my pick for winner of Denae and Andrew's Film February contest. The prize that I'm giving away, hang on. Yo. Is this beautiful, beautiful Argus C3. And the winner of this aesthetically pleasing camera is Sabine Mobius. So congratulations, Sabine. I'm gonna put a couple of pictures up here. This competition was a film-only competition, and it was judged on an entire roll as opposed to just one image or a couple of images. And Sabine, your images were great. I think they are, yeah, I think they're lovely. So congrats. I'll work through Denae and Andrew to get in touch with you to get this shipped out to wherever it is that you are. So congrats again. All right, so the Fujifilm X-E4. I gotta move this Argus out of the way because it is very distracting. So this camera was announced in January, I believe, of this year, January 2021, officially announced, and I just got my hands on it. It's sort of mid-April, late April. It's still fairly new. This is a version of a Fujifilm camera that I've owned in the past. I've owned an X-E1, and I owned an X-E2S at one point, and I loved both of them. I love the form factor. They're basically like an X Pro form factor, but smaller and without the optical viewfinder. This one completely eliminates even any hint of a grip on this side of the camera, which is actually fine. I ergonomically, I don't know if that grip was really doing anything now that it's not on here anymore. As I hold it, I kind of feel like I don't need that grip at all. I love the location of the Q button on this camera with it on the top. So you have all this real estate here for your thumb. It is wonderful. So yeah, ergonomically, even without a thumb grip or a grip on the front of the camera, I have no issues with it. And I kind of feel like maybe the little molded thumb grips and the little molded front grip that are on some other X series cameras are maybe a little bit unnecessary. At least in this form factor, it seems unnecessary. This is great. So this has the 26.1 megapixel X-Trans 4 sensor with the X processor 4. So it's all the latest and greatest stuff, the same thing you'd get in the XT4. It doesn't have optical image stabilization like the XT4. It has a screen that, I don't want to say fully articulates, but I mean it articulates most of the way. I'm not a huge fan of these over-the-top screens, just simply for the fact that if you want to put a mic on this thing, it's going to be in the way. But, you know, in a pinch, you can use the internal mics, or you can use like a little compact mic in the side, which I think is what I will do when I really get testing this camera. Build quality feels outstanding. It feels fantastic. I've always thought that Fuji's build quality was excellent. This thing is a powerhouse, hardware-wise. Like it's very, very small. I feel like it's smaller than the previous XE cameras. Maybe it's not smaller than the XE3. I think the XE3 was a little bit smaller than the XE1 and 2 and 2S, but it's definitely along the same lines as the XE3. Did the XE3 not have this grip either? Man, I don't remember. Did I test the XE3 even? It's been a while. Okay? So, anyways, this camera packs in all the latest stuff from Fujifilm, all their latest film simulations, all their latest video features, the high bitrate 4K, 10-bit 422. You can shoot 240 frames per second at 1080p. One thing I will say about this camera, I've shot very, very little with it, but one thing that really bothers me is the joystick. Every time I bring this camera up to my eye to shoot, I find that the autofocus point has moved to like the bottom corner of the frame or the top corner of the frame, anywhere but the middle of the frame, because I bump this joystick. It's so easy to bump and just move your autofocus point around. You can sort of see it here, see it moving around. So when it's on, if you have it on and you just bump that, it just, you know, it moves. And I can disable that in the menus, I'm sure, but I like having the joystick on so that I can use it when I need it. But it would be nice if when it was sort of hanging at my side, if that was, I don't know if there's a way to disable it, if it's like oriented a certain way, but I mean, you want to be able to move the autofocus point when you're shooting portrait orientation. It's just kind of annoying. I'm not a huge fan of the joystick. It works, but is it better than a D-pad? No, but it takes up way less room, so I get it. I'm kind of on the fence about the joystick is what I'm saying. So if you like it, that's great. I think it's fine. I don't know. The other thing that I did notice about this camera is, and it's very similar to my X-T30, which is back up there somewhere, the controls are very minimal. So you've got just the 3 buttons on the back, the menu OK button, the display back button, and the joystick. That's it on the back of the camera. Well, sorry. On the bottom right-hand side of the camera here, then you've got your drive button. So it's a drive button now. You've got a play button, which is to go through your gallery, and then an AFL button for autofocus lock or auto exposure lock there as well. You've got your Q button on the top, which is great. I'm glad it's off the back. You've got a custom function button here. You've got your exposure comp dial, shutter speed dial, and a programmable dial / button on the front. One thing that's gone is the focus selector switch down here. You have to go into a menu now to select your focus points, and that's kind of where Fujifilm's sort of new philosophy with their cameras is, pardon me, is sort of separating from why I enjoy shooting Fujifilm. I like the physical dials and buttons of Fujifilm cameras. For instance, this is an X-T1. I've got a big time thing for first generation X series cameras right now. I have bought a ton of them. I own almost all of them. I actually just sold my X100, the original X100, because I wasn't using it, and I have an X70, so it's gone. The dials and stuff on the X-T1, obviously it's a different camera for different purposes, but it's, you know, still for taking pictures. You've got an ISO dial, you've got a drive dial, you've got a shutter speed dial, you've got a photometry, is that what they call it? Basically the point in the frame that sets your exposure, and you've got your exposure compensation dial. So you've got a lot more manual controls, and I love that about Fujifilm cameras, and I believe the X-T4 maintains a lot of this. I know the X Pro 3 combines the ISO dial and the shutter speed dial with a lift and turn, just like the X Pro 2, very reminiscent of old film cameras, and that's fine. I like that too. This is a much more minimal setup, much more in line with sort of what other camera manufacturers are doing. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just for me, I would prefer to have, a D-pad and maybe one other dial on the back here. There's a great spot for a dial right here. And I think that it's sort of missing that. And the focus selector switch, I miss that too. But, these are just very minor things. I'm going to go and take a bunch of pictures and video with this camera over the next couple of weeks, and we'll come back here and I'll show you what I've found, talk about what I think about this thing, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm also, like I said, going to have a look at the new 70 to 300, which is somewhat of a rival to my X-E4 50 to 230, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. This is a much more expensive lens. It's an XF lens. The build quality is much, much better. Optically, I have no idea because I haven't really taken any pictures or video with it, so that'll be what I'm doing over the next little bit, and I look forward to sharing that stuff with you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the follow-up videos for the X-E4 and the XF 70 to 300. I think I called it something else earlier, but maybe I didn't. I am so rusty at this. Wish me luck. See you soon.